I need to make an adjustment to my wardrobe real quick. Good morning, and what a great day to be a Leatherneck. I cannot tell you how happy I am to be here today with President Huang and Commissioner DeBush to formally announce Western Illinois University's membership in the Ohio Valley Conference. Before I talk about the OVC, however, I want to share with you a bit about how we arrived at where we are today. When I accepted this position and spoke here in this very room, June 22nd, I outlined two key items I wanted to accomplish as soon as possible. The first was a strategic plan for our athletic program, and the second was an athletic facilities master plan. We are completing our strategic plan right now. This plan will provide the roadmap for our athletic program moving forward, not only for the next 5 years, but for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. Our strategic plan has been completed while keeping in mind the university's own strategic plan and allowing us to focus on what matters most. Achievement, both academically and competitively. Support each other on our teams as well as across our department. Positively engage our campus community with our student athletes. Intentionally commit to equity, diversity, and inclusion. Demonstrate honesty and integrity both on the field and off the field, and emulate that Leatherneck spirit of determination, grit, and resilience. Our strategic planning committee began meeting last November and has continued working. In fact, we just finished our last meeting about 25 minutes ago. The process involved meetings with focus groups that represented our entire university as well as our community. Over 150 people were interviewed in focus groups, asked about their perceptions of Leatherneck athletics and how they saw an NCAA Division I program fitting in here in Macomb. Our committee was broad-based in nature as well, including coaches, current and former student athletes, faculty, staff, and members of the community. There were several key items which came up during this process, and one being conference affiliation. I will get back to that in just a moment. Another key issue going into the planning process, which was being worked on prior to the committee being formed, was the plan to add 3 new women's sports. The addition of these sports will bring us into compliance with Title IX, which is just celebrating its 50th anniversary. Beginning in the fall of 2024, Western Illinois University plans to begin competition in beach volleyball, bowling, and stunt. While beach volleyball is a championship sport offered by the Ohio Valley Conference, we will look at competition as an independent or affiliate member for bowling and stunt. As we considered various sports to offer, we took into consideration current existing practice and competition space, ability to schedule opponents, and practicality of these sports working in conjunction with our existing sports. The fact that beach volleyball could play in the Ohio Valley Conference was a key consideration even before we sought full membership for the entire program. Bowling has had a good history here in Macomb as a club sport, winning national collegiate championships in 1999, 2001, and 2002. And stunt is an emerging sport within the NCAA, which uses competitive cheer along with stunt and tumbling. The work of the Strategic Planning Committee, however, became focused on conference affiliations as we completed our focus group meetings late in January and February. A subcommittee or Tiger team was put together to look specifically at NCAA Division I FCS programs, which we competed against in the Summit League, as well as those that were in a 400-mile radius of Macomb. That study allowed us to compare a variety of information, mostly focused on athletic budgets, campus enrollments, academic profiles, and the size and types of communities where the universities were located. Soon a pattern emerged which showed many, if not all, of these factors aligning with programs in the Ohio Valley Conference. Without going into great detail, the programs in the Summit League have seen their athletic budgets and resources grow significantly, while ours have remained constant. Or in some cases, we've seen drops due to enrollment and honestly the support of higher education in the state of Illinois. I believe we can increase these resources, especially fundraise dollars, corporate partnerships and sponsorships, ticket sales, and other athletic-related generated revenues. We simply must do more if we plan to be competitive in any league. I also want to be clear that the utmost priority in our work was the student-athlete experience. It is no secret that travel in the Summit League has been difficult, especially for Western Illinois University. Frequently, our students are on bus trips that are 7 to 9.5 hours long. When we do fly, sometimes we drive to Chicago, 3-hour drive. We wait at O'Hare for 1.5 hours to get on a flight. We fly to a location, get off, get on another bus, and then go to the competition or our hotel. So our student athletes made it clear that those types of trips impacted not only their competition and ability to compete, but also the missed time away from academics in their academic performance. As the numbers became apparent, we reached out to the Ohio Valley Conference, which had been in contact with Western 2 years ago about potential membership. My question to Commissioner DeBush was simply, would the OVC be open to extending membership to Western Illinois University? And I am grateful that the answer was yes. That was something that we could explore. I want to say that as a charter and founding member of both the predecessors of the Summit League and the Missouri Valley Football Conference, the former Mid-Continent Conference and the Gateway Conference, leaving as a founding member is never an easy thing to do. You know, there's something that goes with being part of the original package. In terms of the Summit League, we were the last continuous member as a founding member of that group. The initial discussions led us to an offer for membership being received last Thursday, May 11th, and President Wong accepting that invitation on Friday, May 12th. On July 1, 2023, Western Illinois University looks forward to full membership in the Ohio Valley Conference as they begin their 76th year of competition and championships. I would like to mention at this time that football will stay in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, and I appreciate Commissioner Viverito and her willingness to work with us in this transition as we go to football in the fall of 2024 to the OVC. With home football dates impacting so many things that our university does, such as family weekend, homecoming, and those dates having been set a year ago, we felt that we needed to follow through on that and maintain that schedule, which might not have been possible in putting together a new schedule. So again, I appreciate the MTVC willingness to work with us in that. At this time, I'd like to ask Ohio Valley Conference Commissioner Beth DeBush to come to the podium and share with you her thoughts on the membership of Western Illinois University in the Ohio Valley Conference. Commissioner DeBush.
Well, first of all, I hate to arrive without a gift, so we certainly need to give you some branding for the OVC.
And I like my caps. Thank you.
Well, greetings from the membership of the Ohio Valley Conference. It certainly is a happy day for our OVC community. We are absolutely delighted that President Wong and Athletics Director Bub accepted the invitation that was unanimously voted on by our OVC Board of Presidents to extend an offer of admissions to the Ohio Valley Conference. That makes Western Illinois just the 25th member of the OVC and our 75th year of existence. So again, just a truly happy day. In some ways, as Paul mentioned, it feels like this day has been a long time coming. But in other ways, it seemed like it just happened, and it happened quickly. The OVC was long aware of the history here at Western Illinois, the level of success, the commitment to student athletes, the fact that we were in the same geographic area, all kinds of synergies. And we certainly, as many of the coaches know in this room, had an awful lot of competition, OVC schools to Western Illinois. Didn't think, though, fully of membership until just recently. Athletics Director Bub and I did have opportunities to talk, and the more that we talked and the more we had thoughtful and thorough conversations, the more excited I became and the membership became about the prospect of membership. And there were so many reasons why it seemed to make sense. The more we talked, the more apparent it became. There are similarities such in mission, vision, values, budget, size, communities, all of which align so very well. As Paul had noted, sports sponsorship, they're almost akin, Western Illinois, to OVC sports sponsorship. Within that, the beach volleyball piece is absolutely critical. We started the sport, love the sport, and are so glad of the news today with the addition of 3 women's sports. Certainly from a leadership standpoint, President Wong, Athletics Director Bub, we knew one another. They're members of the board that have certainly had long-term ties, relationships that have been established, friendships that have been established, and an understanding that this is a leadership team with vision and integrity, which is so very important. We knew from a Western standpoint that student-athlete-centric focus of intercollegiate athletics and using athletics to serve was right in your wheelhouse, and certainly that's what the Ohio Valley Conference is all about. Paul mentioned your strategic plan. The OVC just concluded its strategic plan, and it's amazing how those plans align. We are moving forward in the direction together, and that's really exciting for those synergies. We can't deny the geography. There are rivalries that already exist, but there are rivalries that are ready to really ramp up, and that really makes me smile just to think about it. The fact that you'll have reasonable travel that's so tremendous for the student athletes is terrific. More nights on campus, more nights in your own bed are what we're all about here, and to make sure that our student athletes at their core have an opportunity to use sport to graduate. So in this world of Division I intercollegiate athletics, where there's lots of movement these days and lots of change, some of which doesn't always make a great deal of sense, this truly felt like a make-sense decision at the absolute right time. Now, we've talked about the fact there's lots of similarities and that you're familiar with us, but for some of you in the room, and I know there's lots of coaches, there may be a few aspects of the OVC that you're not familiar with. So I'll just give you a brief snapshot of this conference as we look forward to telling you more in the months and years ahead. The OVC was founded in 1948. A group of schools along the Ohio River Valley. So we don't have a single school in Ohio. We're named after the River Valley. We have schools right now in Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, where our office is headquartered, Indiana, and now we have 3 schools in Illinois. So we're certainly excited about that. That footprint of the OVC hangs together really nicely. Within the league, we sponsor 19 sports. Of those sports, we have 18 championships. We have long been committed to sportsmanship, quality, diversity. That's a part of our makeup, our background, our history, and we stay committed to that. We've been a competitive league nationally with lots of postseason success, and a league, though, where there is no absolute front runner as we start the year. Competition is wide open in a typical year, and I know you'll come in ready to compete for championships as quickly as possible. There are a couple commitments that I need to make to you, the leadership team, and all of you in this room. As we look to transition, we will do our best as administrators and members of the Ohio Valley Conference to make sure that it's an easy transition. We will ask you to not be bashful in any way. As you have questions, thoughts, reactions, you've been in tremendous leagues. Please share your experience with us so we can get better in the process. This will be a situation where we want to work together to make sure it's the best for all possible concerned. We'll commit to you as well that our that our coaches will be eager to compete. So I know the coaches are in the back of the room. I know you come ready. Your fellow competitors will be ready to greet you and certainly take you on in the playing field so together we can all have some terrific competition. To the fans that are listening, Paul mentioned community. I encourage you to come out to the OVC community. They'll be so excited to show off their institutions and make sure you feel welcome. And then lastly, most importantly, to the student athletes, we want to make sure that from the first day, the OVC feels like home and that you have a great competitive experience. So I am, again, delighted to be here with you today. Look forward to the opportunity to work with you. I'm immensely grateful that you had faith in us to make sure that we can have a bright future together. So thank you again, and I look forward to working with you in the years ahead.
President Huang, I'd ask you to come up if you'd like to share a few words.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Got the right one. Perfect. I'll wear it afterwards. So I'm really delighted to have this day with us, right? It's a beautiful day, literally and figuratively. Beautiful because the weather is nice, feels like spring, and beautiful because we are doing something historically important. welcome Commissioner DeBush for the visit. We met several times actually. Before this thing happened, we met 2 years ago in my office. I do have faith in the new conference. I do have faith in you, Paul Bob, as the director of athletics, all the coaches that are here or not here today, athletic staff. I know you do fantastic work. And this opportunity will enable other new opportunities for our student players, for the university. And Beth mentioned a lot of things, and I'm very familiar with, right? It's just funny that we were with the Summit League for my time, 2.5 years. I started with knowing only one president in that league, vaguely. Walking into Ohio Valley Conference, they have 10 presidents. I have known 5 of them personally. Isn't that odd? Maybe that's meant to be. I covered them for nearly 10 years, actually. 2 of them are good friends. One of them is a colleague at Eastern, right? So as you can tell, this map is really exciting. It does give me comfort that, we will be able, as Beth and Paul both alluded to, give our students the opportunity to rest a little more, to be a little more in the classroom while retaining the energy to play vigorously on the field, right? So I can see a lot of good things coming out of this new conference. Now, Beth also mentioned it's not necessarily easy in coming. We started this conversation 2 years ago when I was really new. As you know, I'm not a new president, but I was new at Western, learning all the issues, talking to some of you, to Paul's predecessor, to the foundation folks. And by the way, there are some foundation folks here. I want to thank the foundation for their support to make this thing happen. I see some former trustees also, a couple of them here seated. Thank you for being here. And some supporters like, the bank, Todd, right? So this is really important to have a support from the community, from the faculty and the staff, and from your president. I'm not a stranger to athletics. I don't play a lot of things at my age. I used to play ping pong, swim a lot, running. But I know this is an important switch for all of us, right? We want to win. Everybody is willing and happy to associate with a winner. We are a winner. I think we can be a bigger winner switching to Ohio Valley. So I know we're just talking about the challenges. You have your challenges as a coach, as a player, as a staff, as a director. I have mine. The university has challenges. But none of those challenges should and will stop us from pursuing higher goals, pursuing greater wins for the university, for your team, right? Good to hear that there are 19 sports available in OVC. Now we are going to approach 20, actually, right? We are going to have 20 on this campus. And that also injects a lot of enthusiasm and energy into our sports, into the life of this university, and just as importantly, the life of this community. We do not exist for WIU alone. Right? We have a home community. We have a larger region to serve in West Central Illinois. I think we are very well positioned for a greater, brighter future. I know we hear those things said all the time. What do you mean brighter and greater? Because the work we are doing today, laying the foundation, creating conditions for greater success, those things that are happening under Paul's leadership, including the strategic plan, right? That plan, I promised them I'm going to dive into that plan at a granular level to know what exactly is in there. The committee I just met with spent months and months discussing the thing they want to accomplish through that plan. I agree with the one member who said, well, you do not, I think our faculty representative, you do not want to create a plan and then leave it alone. And not me either. You create a plan because you want to do things. Not rather than putting it on the shelf, as their expression goes, to collect dust. That's not what we want. A plan is a roadmap. A plan is a blueprint, right? If you follow, you will get to your destination, right? Before GPS, right? How do you drive, right? I drove from Texas to Pennsylvania to pick up a new job. You know what I did? I found an atlas map, made markings on it, every rest of, is this the turn I need to make? Today, we don't have to do that. But today, we still have plans and roadmaps we want to follow. The best plan is the plan that's implemented to the largest degree. Typically, if a plan is implemented at 75% of that plan, you are going to have great victories, 80% better. But it wouldn't be a very good plan if you implement 35% or even half of it, right? A plan needs to be realistic and visionary at the same time. That plan I heard a lot of, and I have not reviewed it thoroughly. A lot of good ideas I want to help you implement. Now, the thing is, you don't want to hear, oh, this president is paying lip service. It's not nice to hear that. It's not good to really just pay lip service. I'm a man of action. I want to see things happen between you and me. Now, joining the new conference, I feel a lot more energized because knowing we are going to play with the peer institutions, very much like us, knowing the distance is a little easier. Again, that map is so compact. There are a lot of opportunities for collaboration, a lot of opportunities for synergies. I think you mentioned that too, ma'am. I do feel this is a very positive move. Between Paul and me, the announcement of the new conference, we received only one not very positive comment. Everything else I heard was positive. Many of you are here telling me, President, this is the right thing to do. Well, that's doubly reassuring. When people tell you that's the right thing to do or we are doing it right, very, very reassuring. I want to thank Paul Bob for his leadership, Better DeBush for your willingness to accept us and to work with us. I thank all of you, again, the foundation and all the coaches, all the staff in your department, and every community supporter that are seated here. Big thank you to all of you. Enjoy a beautiful Leatherneck Day. Thank you so much.
I want to share that the president has been very supportive as we went through this process, and when we first approached him about the possibility of making a switch and a move in the conference, was always supportive, and I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. I also want to recognize Kyle Schwartz, the Assistant Commissioner from the Ohio Valley Conference, is with us today. Kyle, thank you for being here. And I wanted to point out, there's my baseball player. Jack Bell is here with us, a student athlete. Those of you from the media, if you want to have a chance to visit with one of our student athletes, and I believe there might be another student that was going to stop by. At this time, I'd be happy to go ahead and entertain any questions, so we'll go from there.
Yeah. Paul, when you look at the decision making, how much was travel the biggest thing in your mind, and where are you at? I mean, financially, how much is this going to save, do you think?
Well, I don't look at it as financial savings. I do look at it as the reallocation of funds that we're using. Through the strategic planning process, we identified probably close to $250,000 that could be reallocated from travel to other purposes within the athletic program. So we think that's going to be a big part of it. I would hesitate to say that there was only one key factor. I think that we tried to go and look at it from a travel standpoint, from an athletic budget standpoint. The schools in the Summit League, to their credit, have grown their budgets exponentially over the past few years, while ours has remained fairly constant. And as I said, for some of them to travel to Macomb might not be as difficult as it is for us to travel to them because of the budgets. And we take bus trips, and we have basketball teams that charter into Macomb International. So, it's a real difference when you start talking about getting your student athletes prepared and ready to go on the court. So budget's a part of it, but I think the type of institutions, I think the academic profile, the enrollments, the location, all those things were equally important to us, and each one has a different benefit for why the decision was made.
Paul, rivalry cultivation. I know everything in this day and age is branding, and I know some of that happens organically, but you're also kind of at a point of inflection where you've got to start this right away. Have you talked about specific rivalry type games and the way you kind of build that history in?
Tom Michael, the athletic director at Eastern Illinois, already sent me an email today wishing he could be here because they take some jibes at me. But looking forward to that. And, Western Illinois University's long had a standing tradition with Eastern. I think that's one of the big ones there. We go back to the playing days, and Brad Boehner back here can remember the Mid-Continent days when Eastern was part of the conference and the games that they had in here. And looking forward to renewing that rivalry for sure, but also just within the state of Illinois, SIU Edwardsville being part of it. Then you throw in Lindenwood in St. Louis, Southeast Missouri, we've competed against regularly. Football opened up at UT Martin last year. So there's a familiarity within this league. Our volleyball team played at a tournament last year at UT Martin. So there's a real familiarity with this league that I think that those rivals are going to pop up real quick and take off.
Paul, is there a financial buyout number from the Missouri Valley and from the Summit for you leaving those leagues and joining OVC?
With the Missouri Valley Football Conference, there's not a exit fee. We were one of the original founding members of the Gateway Conference back in 1985. The Summit League put in some exit fees in 2017 that affect all members, and right now we're currently negotiating and looking at what that exact exit fee is, so I can't tell you an exact number on that right now.
What's the number right now that they've established already?
Well, the number that there's two exit fees. There's a timely exit fee, which is $500,000, and there's an untimely exit fee, which is $1 million. Given that we notified them as late as we did, the number that we're looking at is $1 million.
Paul, a lot of the talk since this announcement's been made has been about the size of the communities and how that's important. Why is the community size of these schools that you're going to be competing against important in your thought process?
I'm not so sure it's the size of the community as much it is the fact that you have public state universities located in these communities that are similar in nature. We all look to reach out to our fan bases in the same way, much differently than maybe a Big Ten school does in developing their fan base. So I think that when you have schools and communities of similar sizes, you're approaching your athletic programs in similar ways. And we want to set the example. We want to be the model program within the Ohio Valley Conference for how our fans treat people that come here and the way we act. Last night I had the opportunity to take Commissioner DeBush to Chamber After Hours event at Woodrum Toyota. And it was a great event. The community was out and supportive. She had a chance to meet a number of people, and her comment to me was how impressed she was with the size of turnout that we had at that event and how welcome she was made to feel. So I think that just the personalities of the communities have as much to do with it, how we treat the universities that are within our communities, and just our approach to how we're going to support the athletic programs. So there is no, at our level of mid-major programs, there's not a lot of priority seating and donors paying $5,000 to sit courtside, as you see in other programs. And I think that's true in the rest of the schools that are in this league. So you start comparing the resources and the resources that are available to you, that does become a factor.
Paul, this question was submitted. What goes into adding new sports as we go ahead and bring 3 new sports into our program?
Well, it starts with identifying the sports we're going to add. And again, as we went through that process, we looked at sports that we could add that would have the minimal impact on our current facilities. Because as I've talked before, in here in Western Hall in late January and February was quite an experience for me with baseball and softball on the upper decks trying to practice and some baseball players down on the lower level kind of hitting my wall outside my office every now and then. Then we got 2 basketball programs trying to practice. We got volleyball in their off season trying to practice. We got track and field trying to make use of the facility as well. So I really was concerned about what new sports could we bring in that wasn't going to add another sport in Western Hall at that time. And the fact that we have Brophy that we are able to utilize at times, the fact that we have other space that we can make available and use, that was one of the big factors. Then we need to hire coaches, and we've been approved to go ahead and move forward with hiring our coaches to give them some time to recruit and bring programs in. Those coaches will need to go ahead and start putting together schedules. It's nice that beach volleyball has a home already with the Ohio Valley Conference, so we'll be able to move that one in a little bit easier possibly than what stunt and what bowling will do. And then it's recruiting the student athletes and getting them on board. I feel fortunate that I've been part of programs twice before where we added softball as a sport, so I've gone through what it takes to get that sport up and going, and looking forward to this process as well. If no other questions, I appreciate you coming out today. And once again, it's a great day to be a Leatherneck. Looking forward to July 1 and official membership in the Ohio Valley Conference. And it's a new era for Leatherneck athletics. So thank you all for coming today. Appreciate you being here. For our media members, we do have lunch set up and available for you. I do appreciate you coming up here. Also, if you're interested in visiting with any of the coaches or any of our staff, more than happy to do that as well. Thank you again.